Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the MACE podcast. I'm your host, Marco Macente, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Today, we're going to discuss about talent acquisition and HR, and we're going to make it with a guest that you already met last year, Mariusz Stokowacki. Mariusz is a senior recruiter and qualified professional performance coach with over 20 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry and sales environment. He worked with the market-leading CROs, pharmaceutical companies, and staffing firms with international and global experience across EMEA and APAC. I'm so happy to meet Mariusz again because in our former episode, we left a lot of things that we were seeing in 2023 to cross-check what is happening in 2024 and beyond. How can organizations and companies retain their talents within the organizations? Are these times really challenging for those professionals that want to enter in the pharma industry? And what about those professionals that are already in the pharma industry and they would like to move up in their career? I'm going to explore the things in 2024 from a talent acquisition point of view with Mariusz, and I'm so happy to check in with him again and, of course, share with you as an audience a lot of insights and experiences across this episode. Please enjoy our conversation and check the former episode out in the MACE podcast library.
Hi, Marius. Hello. Happy Friday. How are you? And welcome to the Maze podcast.
Happy Friday, Marco. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you again in the Maze podcast because, as I shared in the introductions, we are making the second episode, having met pretty much exactly 1 year. It was October 2023 when we recorded and we made the former episode. So, of course, we stayed in touch and we saw a lot of things going on, and we are seeing a lot of things going on. So, we wanted to meet again in order to let our audience keep up with what is happening across talent acquisition in our industry worldwide. I'm so excited to cover with you a lot of things from a talent acquisition point of view, and because a lot of updates, a lot of things have happened during this year. So, are you ready? Can we start?
Let's start. I'm ready.
Yeah. So one of the things that we discussed last year was, of course, 2023 being and having been a transformative year for our industry from a talent acquisition point of view. Of course, at the time, we didn't know that 2024 was transformative as well. And we can now confirm that 2024 has been a very peculiar year and transformative year as well. So, what are the trends? What are the updates? What are the things that you have seen so far in 2024 that you would like to highlight from a talent acquisition point of view, Marius? What do you want to share?
Oh, Marco, I mean, firstly, it's just so incredible to think that it's been a year since you and I connected and shot the first chapter
Yeah,
on the talent acquisition piece within pharmaceuticals. Um, at that time, obviously, very quick link to those trends that we discussed.
yeah,
I'm not going into details because it's greatly recorded in the podcast. But things that we discussed obviously covered hybrid work, fully remote work, digitalization. We briefly touched on metaverse. We're not there within metaverses yet, so that's probably still, somewhere far in the future. But in terms of that year being very transformative, so those trends that I've just mentioned continue to be noticeable amongst the
yeah,
candidates. Now, I wouldn't say a big shift towards the companies, hoping and trying to bring back, employees office space. That still is pretty much, I would say, at the same level as it was in 2023. Now, with that said, I think the biggest trend and new trend that I have noticed is the market now being a company or organization driven market,
yeah,
employee driven market, right? So, what I mean by that previously and for years. And we still do until we'd still do it to a certain degree, have got that war on talent, right? The word that I do not like to use, but what I mean is that candidates have had great choice of work, right? For let's say one CRA, number of opportunities were multiple. We're
Yeah,
talking double digits probably opportunities available for CRAs at one point. So what companies would always do, be creative, offering sign-on bonuses, trying to, offer higher salaries, so changing compensation bands, so slowly but surely, the market has become a candidate-driven market, or
yeah,
became a candidate-driven market. This time around, 2024, I see it as a complete change, right? Very few opportunities out there. I think we can't shy away from the fact that, we still have been going through redundancies as an industry in 2024. Not all the companies got it right in terms of their forecast, in terms of staff retention. Now, what that ultimately does is obviously making the employer or future employer being more selective for those future hires. Companies are more cautious, take more time to find the right talent, to press that hiring button, so that, again, to my statement earlier, it now has become an employer market.
yeah,
Now, I don't see it as a long-term shift. It's probably going to last until 2025. I think Q1, end of Q1, maybe going into Q2, and all of a sudden, as soon as the industry is back as it was, and I'm very optimistic, it will come to it.
yeah,
Again, those trends will start to
yeah,
shift again.
yeah.
Which direction? We're obviously yet to see it. It's going to be exciting from the talent acquisition point of view, from the candidate point of view. But what that means from the talent acquisition perspective, just to answer your question, it just means that, we do see, and I do personally see, number of greatly talented individuals, some active, some being more cautious and proactive in their searches for new jobs, with the very few opportunities available at the moment.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Marius, for having shared such a kind of big shift, as you mentioned, from 2023. And I completely agree with you. If we see the LinkedIn platform, or if we see across the social media, we see a lot of professionals now, available or looking more proactively for a job, because this is the consequence of the companies that have shifted as well due to the compression of the work, of the projects, of the studies. So there has been a change in the industry, in the business. And of course, this means also that we needed to see also such a kind of change in the talent acquisition market. Speaking from candidate perspective, employer perspective, and of course, I completely agree with you, because I've noticed as well across the board such a kind of shift. We spoke about the talents, and pretty much this is the hot word that we used in the former episode. So let's focus a little bit on the talents, because we have young talents right now that are exiting from the universities, and they would like to enter into the pharma industry. And sometimes this is not a smooth change, and we have a lot of challenges, a lot of barriers. So what are some steps that you would like to suggest to young talents that are entering into the industry, and they would like to explore their career in the industry as well? So what are some suggestions or some insights that you would like to share?
Brilliant question. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to cover that topic. I get to connect with so many, young talents, with the respect of them graduating,
Yeah,
from universities and wanting to get into the pharma industry. So there are a number of tips that individuals, can look into, or can benefit from our conversation, but not just from our conversation alone. I mean, what I would just suggest, make sure if you are looking to get into the industry, you do a little bit of a homework. right? No, not sometimes, individuals when they hear the word homework, they cringe. Uh, but what I mean by that, uh, the world, the access to the information that we currently have is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's all free of charge, right? So before, or when you're about to graduate, just look into the all the information that you can get on pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
Great starting point can be even in Wikipedia, right? Very often the individuals I ask, what would you like to do? They don't have an idea. And that's absolutely fine because they don't need to know what, their career, what their life is going to be in the next 5 years. But as a candidate, because you all of a sudden become a candidate on the market, and a highly competitive market, going back to our conversation just a few moments ago, uh, you need to know some basic about pharmaceutical industry, right? How
Yeah.
it's set up, the relationship between, pharma, biotechs, CROs, CDMOs, laboratory settings, preclinical, clinical development, the stages, phases of the drug development processes. You as an individual, by embracing that knowledge, you're helping yourself to really get a more focus and idea which direction to go to. So that's the first thing, get all the basics right, cover
Yeah.
it. It's free of charge. Just all you have to do, yes, I know we all would like to get the information, within a split second. Sometimes you just really have to spend a little bit more time. So
Yeah.
if you do not want to, spend time, scrolling through different, pages of information, start networking.
Yeah.
Reach out to industry professionals, reach out to consultants like myself or, other individuals within the industry, right? You know, we all here to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody is busy and I appreciate, it's been unprecedented times at the moment, but this is how you can really accelerate your access to knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Okay? Networking for sure. Have your LinkedIn profile, have your CV ready.
Yeah.
Stand out in the crowd. I'm sorry to say, if you don't have it these days, the likelihood of you securing a job drops, right? Reason being, someone who's competing against you,
Yeah.
that person who has got that LinkedIn profile, that the person that has got, CV, really well written, supported by professionals, for example, again, mind the cost. So just there are, completely free ways of doing it, but make sure you stand out, right? And these are the little things they can do to really help yourself to stand out in the process. Volunteering, if you have got an opportunity to volunteer, internships, it's hard. I know it is hard to get those internships, but even if you were to partner with a company, do some shadowing for a month, week, include that, highlight that in the CV, right? There are some great opportunities within, big pharma companies, that the companies will really allow, graduates to enter the market,
Yeah.
learn new ideas. And, there are some great companies, agencies, staffing partners that will help those individuals as well. Again, you probably need to do a little bit more research to get those, right?
Yeah.
Again, we have to always look at it country specific. So I can just share my comments being based in the UK.
Yeah.
Again, some other countries may have different setups, right? So you always have to look into, how it is done in your country that you reside in.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for sharing, and I completely agree with you. Let's say that from a candidate, that from a young talent perspective, each detail matters, each experience matters. So if they find an opportunity, if they find the momentum of they find the opportunity to connect with someone that can link you to someone else, or if they can, start chatting with someone that can give them more insights about a niche in the industry, or maybe about the business that the company potentially can do. Of course, such a kind of opportunity or such a kind of opportunities matters, because it's the sum of such a kind of opportunities that will lead a young talent to a potential opportunity in a pharma industry, in a company, or elsewhere. But they need to start from something. And of course, the start, as you said, is quite challenging because the market is quite competitive right now. But if they can stand out, if they can, appreciate and collect, stay engaged and collect such a kind of insights, I'm sure that they can find their way, and they can start their pathway into the industry. So thanks a lot for sharing such a kind of things that, of course, will be treasured by the young talents listening to the episode. Now, we spoke about young talents, but of course, there are talents that are still working in companies. There are thousands of professionals out there. And one of the things that I've noticed, and that touches me a lot, is the retention of the talents, that sometimes really is a hard topic for companies. Companies and organizations really struggle sometimes to retain the talents within their organizations, especially nowadays when we see a lot of peaks in the job market. So which is the trend that you have seen so far in 2024? And are there some strategies that companies can do in order to retain their talents more? What do you think?
It's a very complex question, I
Yeah,
think, to answer. And there's no silver bullet to I think, to answer or to retain talent at this very moment in time. Now, looking at the industry as a whole, and as you mentioned, in professionals working in different companies, we'll see individuals being, working within the CRO market space, being, within FSP models through CROs, so working, directly through, with the sponsors. We also see individuals working directly, you know, as sponsors as well.
yeah,
So wherever you are, I think your perspective will or may vary slightly, right? So within the pharmaceutical industry, as we know, the sponsor is the sponsor. What the sponsor decision sponsor make, will affect individuals working within the CRO. Full stop.
yeah,
That's how it works. Now, staff retention, that's a topic that we covered quite in detail last time when we spoke,
yeah,
right? And the strategies the companies came up with were really good, and it's where the job market produces fewer opportunities, visible to the audience. The companies started, and they still do, I think, really promote learning and development opportunities,
yeah,
right? Now they do it externally, so that's one thing which is great because from the brand awareness perspective, superb, right? You can see that future employer that perhaps company you'd like to work at, and you think, okay, brilliant. They really invest in talent their own employees. That's always, most of the time that's the case. Sometimes, the bigger the company, depending on the setup, the reality may be a little bit different in a sense. Individuals, yes, will have those opportunities, but at the same time, the companies will want to make sure they still remain profitable, right?
yeah,
And again, depending on how they set up, if it's private equity led company, now I'm entering, uncharted waters here, so chop or maybe choppy waters here, by going into details, right? But I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's really important for the audience to know that yes, the industry we're in will be promoting, and they do phenomenal jobs, investing in learning and development, giving opportunities internally. But at the same time, sometimes hard decisions are being made,
Yeah.
right? And as I said, there's no silver bullet how to solve the problem of retention. Some companies will have it higher, some will have it smaller. So if you're in a bigger company, 20%, a bigger company employing thousands of people, even a 20 percentage of, cost saving exercise, i.e. redundancies,
Yeah.
will convert into thousands of people being let go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to digress too much, but it's all interconnected, I feel, right?
Yeah.
So what the companies do, yes, invest in training and development, nurture the talent, nurture employees, giving them opportunities internally. If there are no opportunities for internal promotions, at least give an opportunity for people to learn new skills, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm noticing as well. Now, with respect to other trends that companies do to retain that talent, communication,
Yeah.
internal communication, I think is really important. So whatever happens within the industry, sometimes individuals are so busy at work they don't know what's going around them, right? So I think what's really differentiating some companies from one to another is how leadership team will communicate the message to others,
Yeah.
right? The more transparent the organization, the more talent they will retain.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes, as I said, the times are very hard at the moment.
Yeah.
Hard decisions are being made. You know, different things do take place. But as I said, what I'm seeing still, are those companies that really promoting learning and development. I know I've said it a few times now, different internal initiatives. So I can add to that, that could be diversity, inclusion.
Yeah.
So that's still, I think really, high on the agenda to promote and differentiate yourself as a business.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the size, I think that should be as part of your, setup,
Yeah.
diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
Um,
This is a
so I
very
thought,
Yeah, yeah.
mhm.
So just to connect a little bit with what you were mentioning before in the beginning of your answer, the topic is very complex, and the question is very complex because the reality and the context in which we navigate right now is very complex. So we see we are not able to set up rules or principles because each company is different from one another, of course. But I really appreciate you sharing such a kind of things that were pretty much touched in our former episodes. So it's good to see that the strategies are there. It's good to see that, of course, the companies still are looking to get some ways in order to retain their talents. So internal things and internal platforms such as diversity, equity, and inclusion, such of course initiatives that can be run internally are for sure engaging things that a company can do in order to retain their talents, in order to let them feel more engaged. And this is something, of course, that I've noticed as well. But on top of things is the communication. So I really agree with you. The company that is able to get the communication on top shape is the one that is going to retain more talents because the transparency is really well appreciated, especially in crisis times, in difficult times like the ones that we are living now and that we are seeing. So I just wanted to drop a couple of thoughts in order to confirm also from my side and your thoughts that I feel that are hitting the ground completely.
No, thank you, Marco. And yes, as I said, it's so complex, right? But the more transparent you are, especially in difficult times like this, the more talent you will retain,
Yeah,
right? We don't mean scare tactics by no means. I think, the industry, has been struggling for what, over 2 years now, if not longer. Yeah, so have, understanding, lots of empathy, how you communicate
yeah,
that message internally. And, yes, I'll repeat myself, those companies who really, believe in that, in those, have all the values in the right place, know how to communicate it, will retain that talent, right? Because the
Yeah.
talent is the biggest asset for the business.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So thanks a lot for sharing. And we explored a little bit from a talent perspective, everything that is related when someone is entering into the market with young talents, till the talents that are still working. So what they can do in order to, look at the companies or what companies can do in order to retain those talents. So thanks a lot for sharing such a kind of things. Beside being a senior recruiter, I introduced you in the introduction of the episode. You are also a coach, and you help professionals across different industries to get oriented in their career pathway. And of course, you are passionate about helping others to develop their skills and their abilities. So, how do you view the coaching sessions right now, and especially nowadays that the time is really challenging, right? And what are the things that can help the people to push them forward and to pursue a career or a pathway that they aim to pursue, for example?
Thank you for asking and bringing it up. I really appreciate the opportunity, Marco. And with regards to just to correct a little bit the focus of my
Yeah,
coaching practice. So the niche I operate within is pharmaceutical industry.
yeah,
Yeah, so, and I'll link to that to your question in terms of career path and what I do with that. So. I mainly focus, not mainly, I predominantly focus on pharmaceutical industry. So anyone at any stage of their career can reach out to me, and we will do either coaching session or career
yeah,
consulting, or starting with a free discovery session where we establish what the ask is and how and if I can really help individuals. Now, with regards to with regards to the talent, what I'm seeing in coaching sessions these days,
yeah,
it has to be, I think, split in two categories. So
yeah,
one, individuals that come to me at the senior level, in a sense, at experienced level. So let's say management and director level executives, they would come with a different agenda to those individuals who just start their career or are at the early stage of their careers. So what I mean by that, those individuals that focusing on the first group of individuals, they will go through a typical coaching session. So what that means in practical terms or simplified way, I do the questions, they do the talking,
yeah,
right? And it often starts with career development, them feeling stuck in the positions they're in, that the market slowed down. So that gives them a little bit more time to stop and think what they really want to do without knowing what to do next, right? Because before that, before they came to me that, with the market, booming, they would be just doing work, 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 work.
yeah,
So those individuals and something that I'm noticing is starting with the coaching session, focusing on the career development, but as we go into, second, third, fourth session, that career development often transforms into more personal development aspects,
yeah,
right? You know, those individuals often discover that the things that hold their progress back, it's not just work related,
yeah,
right? So that's sometimes that is just, that's why, I love coaching so much because it can be quite, and it is very transformative. Now, going back to individuals at the entry career level, bearing in mind, we need to look at the generation, that come to me, the year that, of graduates, their expectation for help and support is completely different. So
yeah,
that coaching is almost like shifting more towards consulting, So their expectation, they still feel some, there is coaching that they're getting, but I do have to be very explicit and explain to them it is more consulting with sometimes coaching components that I will combine. But those individuals will just want straight answers, right?
Yeah,
So there's no right or wrong. Two groups of people are fantastic to work with.
yeah,
And when you have got somebody who's just at the early stage of their career and all of a sudden, having 1 or 2 sessions messaging me saying, "Hey, I've got a job," brilliant. Right.
yeah,
So that these are the sort of two changes or two not changes, two shifts that I'm seeing,
yeah,
how that coaching holistic approach is, you know, evolving. That's probably how I can call it when you look at career development or professional development, right? So
yeah,
just want to be clear, how that's communicated.
yeah,
Now, going back to the industry, so that's why, the comment I made earlier, I do not go into other industries because I do feel that it's unfair for me to promote, let's say knowledge within IT. Well, I have no idea. Well, I know what
mhm,
IT is, right?
yeah,
But I've not got experience in IT. So I do have individuals that come from different industries that I would connect. I would explain what I do, what I don't do. And, I often say that, look, I don't think I'm the right person to help you what you're looking for. So it's about, maintaining that honesty and integrity
yeah,
with yourself and ethical approach towards coaching and
yeah.
consulting.
Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing, and thanks a lot also for highlighting those kind of categories of people that you coach, and of course, the help that you bring is different, so you adjust yourself to the needs of the people that you have in front of you, and that's important. So, of course, coaching is an ability, is something that, of course, is specific, and thanks a lot for sharing the things that you do to help others in order to find their professional and personal also pathway, because we have understood that the two things are very well connected. Now, wrapping up, my last question for you is a question related to a very actual topic, technology and the AI, artificial intelligence. We mentioned before the digitalization, we mentioned that technology is already there, and we saw this also in 2023. But now, talent acquisition seems to adjust to technology and to artificial intelligence. And I've seen a lot of posts on LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of recruiters spotting some news around the use and the usage of artificial intelligence in talent acquisition. So, what are the things that you are seeing across 2024? Do you want to share something that you see beyond the 2024? And AI implementation in talent acquisition, what are your thoughts about that?
Wow. Okay. So I think, it's a constant battle in my mind with regards to how do I approach the topic.
Yeah,
Before even, setting up the second chapter of our podcast, um, this whole year has been so much about technology as well that, when you now ask the question, it just puts a smile on my face because I'm still, battling different thoughts, but in all very positive way, I think. So,
yeah,
having been in the industry for, I think, over 15 years now, it just allows you to look at different aspects of my job as a, TA, talent acquisition from different perspectives,
yeah,
right? There were times that there was no LinkedIn. Then LinkedIn was kind of, evolving. There was, AI. You probably hear about AI when you watch the Terminator, the movie, and
yeah,
all these things all of a sudden are so real, like fast forward to where we are today. And, I think we as individuals who have been on the market for a little bit longer, um, I think we have got two choices. Either we embrace it
yeah,
and learn how to use it, effectively and be friends with AI, or simply just continue to battle our thoughts and say, no, I don't want AI in my life. No, I prefer to choose the first option, right? So what I mean by that, AI in the talent acquisition world can help tremendously, right? Obviously, it's very much related to data, and data, as we all know these days, is
Yeah,
really important, right? So even AI is going to be as good as data that we use and we put in. So what I would just say is that, within the talent acquisition these days, there are so many different softwares that are being produced to help us recruiters be more efficient, with respect to screening CVs, for example, right? So
yeah,
that's one of the aspects that we are seeing, through really, allowing us to jump right into the right CV that for the role that we're looking for. When you look at, I mentioned LinkedIn. I think, I can freely say LinkedIn because it's very common knowledge. Automation, you know, AI, built AI messages, follow-ups. Sometimes, I feel very sorry for the audience when you're a candidate, because sometimes, you may be bombarded with number of messages, and sometimes, those messages are so cleverly written that you feel, oh, that's a personalized message, right?
yeah,
Again, it could be, I'm not saying it's always that case, but it could be AI assisted writing.
yeah,
Going into that, talent acquisition world, when we want to self-promote, when we want to, promote external, internal activities for the business, it's LinkedIn posting or posting in social media. Again, there's so much, AI involved these days that sometimes I think it's a little bit too much. So these are the areas for me personally, I feel, you know, I'd love those messages that I can see, put short posts, be a little bit more authentic. Because I think within the AI, as there's so much of it these days,
yeah,
I think that's the difference with us humans, right? You start to learn and recognize something is not authentic. I don't want to say fake, but if I'm to be blunt, sometimes fake you can sense straight away.
yeah,
So there's this, I think fine balance to find for individuals, not just maybe in talent acquisition, but as we are focused on talent acquisition, let's say,
yeah,
within talent acquisition, within recruitment, to be smart, how we use that technology, how we use the AI. What I'm also seeing, and that's something that I don't know whether many companies, not companies, but many recruiters talk about. We are seeing, those applications so well written, CVs so well composed, and the content is just, almost sometimes like reading a book. That's how good, that process has become. So again, most likely, I'm not saying everybody uses AI to write their CVs or
yeah,
motivation
of
letters,
course.
but it doesn't change the fact that us using technology these days, us being less visible in a face-to-face communication, it does allow us to build that perfect message and send it to a potential employer, to a
Yeah,
recruiter.
yeah.
If you're a salesperson, to have that business development approach email. So it's all interconnected.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I feel that the message is pretty much use common sense and use and a lot of things now, right, are happening in terms of the ethics of the SOPs, the regulation in order to normalize and officialize the use of AI when it comes, to internet, to connect with other people. So yeah, I agree with you. A lot of things are happening, and we see now
Yeah.
companies and organizations that are putting their more rules or more principles in order to ensure that there is a good common sense across AI.
Absolutely. And on the AI aspect of it all as well, if we kind of move from TA to, let's say, clinical trials, that's again,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a big, big topic, as you just rightly
yeah, yeah,
mentioned.
yeah.
so much involved, and to make sure that it is, that we are protected, right? That our data is protected as
Yeah.
well. Because
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot, it's continuously evolve. AI learns. That's what the feedback is.
yeah,
And one thing that I really wanted to point out as well is that it's finding that right balance is so important, because what I also am noticing is that we started to live in a very quoted world. Everybody quotes something, AI quotes, you know, instead of quoting, listen.
yeah,
Let's just start just being empathetic. Let's
yeah.
listen to what others have to say. Be authentic. So those are the little things that little but big things for me, at least. When we start talking about AI, that you know, generate different thoughts in my head.
Thanks a lot, Marius. It has been a pleasure to have met you. We touched a lot of topics, and I'm sure that the audience will treasure this topic and this episode as I will. So, thanks a lot. Stay in touch. Keep in touch because, of course, the things that we will see in 2025 will confirm or not will bring us more insights in order to understand and reflect on what we have shared with the audience today.
Marco, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to, connecting with you again next year. Chapter number 3, perhaps.
Yes, why not?
Let's make sure we aim for the live session this time around. So I look forward to it.
Thanks a lot, Marius. All the best and
Thank
speak
you,
soon.
Marco. All
Bye.
the very best. You take care. Bye bye.